Last episode you guys saw that with the addition of scenery comes the popularity increase with ride prestige and everything. So to see that these guys are actually coming in is a great thing. But what about the other rides? What about flat rides? Let's find out. Hiya Borkers, I'm Jalen Fulf and welcome back to Planet Coaster. Last time we were here, we took care of a couple of little things involving our friends on the Zenith. Terrain editing, which includes, if you go all the way to the Ace of Sky over here, we've actually added a little mountainous terrain area, which I originally intended to do in the first place, to signify that, yes, we wanted that mountain in the first place. At the same time, we also added a little Zenith ride over here. It looks like King Ka / Top Thrill Dragster, although it is a little bit small. We had to do a little trial and error with the EFN ratings a little bit, because I didn't want it to be too scary. Luckily, this was a balance. Anyway, on top of that now, we also have our little monorail friend over here, which we also included a little monorail station, but also, since the last time, I've also included some glass windows. They were a huge struggle to put in because of the lack of angle snap that I had. And yeah. On top of that, I had issues getting peeps off paths. Let me just quickly see how the monorail actually runs, because off camera as well, I also had to fix the path a little bit as well to make sure that the guests got off easily. Tried to find a balance between where they were having issues and where they were not having issues. And that was the problem that I was having, was guests were being trapped in the park for no apparent reason. Because I want to see now if that happens again when the guests exit this monorail here. Do they start shouting, "Hey, help me! I'm trapped!" Is that still an issue here? Nope, we're good. So I did manage to fix it last episode. Are guests still trapped in the park then? The last time it happened was then. Now if I go into guest thoughts to see how many guests say, "Oh, I'm stuck," then that's going to be where this happens. But it doesn't look like any guests are stuck anymore. Everybody's out of their business and out of that one. So that was the only problem I had. Now, what I really want to do with this particular park involves flat rides. I've chosen a few of my flat rides to get some sequencing done. Some of them are already at the best possible. Others just need to be fixed. And some don't have any guests at all. So, while we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and go back to park management. We're done with this section for now. I'm going to go into my rides and start closing some rides that do need the closure. So I'm gonna let some rides get fixed. I'm gonna let some rides get fixed, get those sorted, and with other flat rides that do not need that level of changing, I can go ahead and I'll go ahead and run a quick little refurbishment if possible. So with that note, I'll go ahead and start doing some closing, and I'll catch you guys when that's done. Okay, so I'm back. Now before I start sequencing these rides, I must ask you all what guides did you guys use to sequence your rides? Because there are some differences amongst guides, and some have acknowledged that there are existence of other guides. There's one that I used on Google Sheets that sets their own bests possibles in terms of both prestige and EFN ratings. I know a particular one just picked the best possible overall as well, but that's their own opinions and not the opinions of others, so I'm going to just go with either a combination of that guide, but either combination of that guide, the guide they worked off of, and some of my own findings. But most of what you're going to see pertains to what I found through the Google Sheets guide that I found, and I'll link that guide down in the description. You guys tell me if there's anything better from what I give you guys. So, for this particular one, while I have these listed in alphabetical order with a couple of closures here, I do have some rides not being touched, particularly because either A, they're already at the best possible setting according to that guide that I have, or their sequence is required for the particular ride available to us. For instance, Erie Elevations Blueprint has a sequence that has it required like that. So in other words, we can't work with anything other than what's already there. By a default, Horror Heights would have had a better result, but on the ideal scale, if you're not working with scenery, then yeah, this guide would help. And that's what I'm working with here as well, is the guide. So, I believe we're going to start things off by going in the circle here, and then work our way this way, and then end off back here with the latest build of the Zozo. So anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and start the build. And we're going to start over here with the Star Wheel. This one just has one sequence by itself, and that's the main sequence. The best possible, according to one particular user, has two main sequences. I'm going to run it off of that. So for this, you guys are also going to see an action from the first seed as well, so I'll go ahead and test that as well. Let's go ahead and test to see what we can do. If I recall correctly as well, gravity also plays a role here as well. Because as you can see, it starts dipping into the inner part of the wheel. And then you can see the exact same thing, not with the stationary ones up there. There are some that actually do that and others that don't. This one, the one that I'm in, actually does work by gravity. So I'll definitely go ahead and run a full cycle that way. So yeah, once it starts dipping, then you can start seeing as well. Yeah, you can see it on that one in front of us as well, that the momentum of the wheel itself is causing the car itself to start swinging. Like the one we're on now. I think this is actually the one. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. That's what we're looking for. That is exactly what we're looking for. Yup. And that's one of the quick ones. I'll go ahead and let that test. The next one I want to look at is over here with the sundial, which, funny enough, currently runs 3 clockwise motions. 4 clockwise motions. It's just a swing with the clockwise and anti-clockwise referring to the spin of the car, which I was running with to begin with. This sequence involves going the opposite direction, but one of the sequences standard clockwise versus the other 3 being anti-clockwise, or counterclockwise if you're on the other on my side of the Atlantic. Yeah, let's go ahead and test. So yeah, as you can see, the thing starts spinning as you go, and look at that, it's actually going in the counterclockwise direction. And I'll just let this get up to peak speed, and then you can start seeing where the switch happens, mostly. Alright, so we are already probably closing in on that peak. We're probably closing in on that peak swing anyways. Yep, we're on the peak swing, it looks like. And then eventually, when it reaches a certain point, we'll start to switch to the opposite direction. So we haven't hit that point yet, luckily yet, so we'll be there soon. And it looks like we might have reached that point. Yep, then it starts to go in the other direction. Yup. See what we mean by that? And that's just gonna run another switch of direction before continuing on with the anti-clockwise motion. Now let's see, how is the star wheel doing? The star wheel's doing okay. I'm letting these test as I go. I'm gonna come back to them as I go as well. The scissor over here, we're gonna move on to the scissor. Currently running a small prestige with just one spin, a spin fast, and a spin. This is the scissor we're talking about here, and I've made some tests and realized that I'm not sure if this was meant to be a bug or something, but if I ran the reverse of this specific sequence that I'm about to show you, then it would automatically go to an automatic 0 prestige and no one would want to ride it because of a certain bug that happens with it being it slows down before it runs the next part of the sequence. The one I'm about to show you doesn't. And this sequence is... This is a sequence of 8 fast spins. 8. It doubles the speed slightly, but runs 8 fast spins. And you can definitely see it in action when I run the ride camera test on this particular ride as well. And you can see the name top scissor to indicate that. I bet you the furry that names themselves this ride after themselves would probably want to would probably have that electrifying moment that is presented here in the scissor. And you can definitely see, whoa, you can definitely see how fast this thing is going. If this is I'm probably going to say this is too intense for me and get off the ride before it happens. So let me go ahead and see how this wheel is operating. Is it... Oh, we're finished with a slightly better prestige than before. Still, guests probably wouldn't want to ride it, but we'll let this one operate. And to make sure this one works because of how old it is, we're going to go ahead and refurbish again. Refurbish this one as well. So yeah, refurbishment necessary for this one. How about the ratings on this one? The sundial runs a huge improvement. That is a good result. I'll go ahead and close and open again, but also refurbish because this is so old. Just in case. Wait a minute. When did this open? Year 14? Can I cancel refurbishment? Well, forget that part then. Alright, so that runs that. Now I'm going to let this one run just a little bit more, and let's see what this one fares. Okay, so now that the scissors are starting to slow down, we can run the test results, but the most important part is in seeing the test rating. Is it favorable for me? I think we might see that. I was only testing prestige, not the ratings themselves, when it came to stuff that I was running through myself. And this one produces some favorable results, maybe not so, but the prestige is a little better. It is still a fairly new ride, so I'll not refurbish this one. But yeah, that was the star wheel, the sundial, and the scissor. I'll go ahead and get rid of these on my guide here for me to be done with. Alright, so moving on through this little circular area here, we don't see a lot going through this. We see a couple over here, that a triad over here that we can work with, but I'm gonna instead divert this way and then run these two. The first one over here is the Monteleone, which runs a caterpillar-like. The other one is a Weisshorn, which also runs the same thing. But this one runs a very low prestige, and I'm going to go ahead and run some tests on this one as well. It looks like, and I'm going to run the same thing on the Weisshorn when we get to that as well, but the guide gave us a reverse spin with alternating with and without canopy. The prestige didn't change when I did the forward momentum, but I hope this person didn't run that test as well. I hope the ratings are the same as well. So, the alternating spin and spin with canopy on both the Monteleone and the Weisshorn, and we're going to get to the Weisshorn later, runs this sequence of spin and spin with canopy a total of what looks to be 8 times. So we've got the first cycle, the second cycle, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and that was the default number of sequences we had. Now I'm going to add the 6th and add, 7th and add, and then 8th and add. This one will require a test. And for this, we run the test now, see what goes that. And you're about to see as well how this works. You'll soon see the canopy go up and then down, alternating each time. I'll show you 2 of those sequences and then run the next test of our double in this set. So first, after a spin, we get the canopy up, and then the next set will run the canopy down. And then the next set again will run the canopy up again, as you can see going into this. Yep, and then that's that. And then when we do this again, you'll start to see, oh, the canopy is going to come back down again, and that's where we're going to stop our coaster cam test to allow the next one to operate its test. So that's the Monteleone. What about our power moves with the scenery added in? That has a 588, which is better than probably without the scenery itself, with just spin fast, spin, spin fast, spin high, and spin high fast. But the sequence that I see on this guide here that I've built off of what I have gives me no highs, but I get spin fast, and spin, that cycles 5 times before it concludes with a spin fast. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the concluding spin fast. So let me go ahead and test this, and I'll show you what we mean by spin fast and spin. You'll see it start to go fast and then slow, fast and slow, fast and slow. That's the cycle. Probably not noticeable at this rate because of lag issues in terms of how much I built in this part itself. And probably not visible in the coast cam either. So yeah, let's see. How is this fast and then slow, fast, slow, fast, slow? How does that work? You guys tell me how that's supposed to function. I can't even tell from looking at this. While that runs, I'll go ahead and head back over here to the Monte Leon, which is still testing, mind you. And you can definitely see that it's still on the canopy phase. And then it'll start working its way through the phases again and again. Yeah, starting these tests actually works out in our favor. And while we're doing that, can I just quickly... Am I able to color while this is running? I think I'm able to color while this is running. I did this before on the White Dragon in the abyss below, but it might be advisable not to for the sake of things. So let me just see. The Monte Leon might end its... Yeah, the Monte Leon's gonna end its test first. And it looks like the ratings on this one seem to be... Ooh, somewhat favorable for a gentle ride, and very favorable in terms of prestige. So I'll let that open. It opened in year 11, so we don't need to refurbish that. I did a poll recently on... Speaking of refurbishment, I did post a poll over on my Twitter in regards to, hey, when it comes to building rides in your Planet Coaster Park, how old do you let the coaster run, or the ride run, before you set the thing to refurbish? And most of you said 10 years? Favorably, give or take? So yeah, you can start to see, oh, it's currently year 18, and with the Monte Leon being built and opened at year 11, it doesn't make sense to go ahead and run that scale. So that does it for the Monte Leon. I'll run the same cycle for the Weisshorn when we get to that, which is the roof-covered version of the Monte Leon. So, with the power moves, I'm not sure if it's almost done, but I bet you we've been given some good, favorable stuff in this. I'll tell you right now, though, I'm still not, like, convinced knowing which one's the spin and which one's the spin fast. I honestly can't tell. So you guys have to tell me. Because I'm just operating by the guide here. Anyway. Good results. Oh my god, 1260 on Prestige. That's gonna get popular really fast. And it built to year 14 means no need to refurbish. Our side directional features go the way of this side step again, and we end up with a double set over here. What was that, the power moves? Yep. Alright, so we end up with two other rides. A Chairplane and a Centrum. I'll start with the Chairplane over here, which, wow, the 100% is actually coming from the side scenery over at Temple Adventure, which makes it part of the jungle theme question mark? Then again, you guys tell me. So anyway, the sequence, this default sequence for this looks like flat spin, anti-clockwise tilt, clockwise tilt, and flat spin again, which proved the unfavorable prestige result. As far as testing was concerned, that's the one that was given to us. Now, the sequence that was given to me on the guide involves the normal flat spin that starts like before, but instead of alternating between anti-clockwise and clockwise tilt spins, we just go with two anti-clockwise tilt spins, and that's that. But then it returns to flat spin for what looks to be, I think, 10 cycles? That's 10 cycles, yes, 10 cycles. So, we've got our 1, we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll go ahead and run the test and show you guys how the tilt spin works. And then once it returns to that flat spin, I'll get off of the ride cam and then show you guys how it works. And then show you the next one, actually. So yeah, you can see it tilts like that. I wonder why it says anti-clockwise versus clockwise when the thing... You can probably see it from an overhead view, but the anti-clockwise tilt and clockwise tilt actually run opposite directions from each other, so I'm not entirely sure if it's the riders going anti-clockwise or if that was unintentional to begin with. So let me see how the anti-clockwise tilt works in regards to this. Yeah, that does not look like... Wait! Oh, no, I get it. That's definitely a anti-clockwise tilt right there. So is it returning to flat now, or no? No, it's probably just going the anti-clockwise tilt again. So eventually it's going to return to standard flat spin. And then once it returns to flat spin, I'll run the flat spin for a little bit. And then... yeah. So yeah, it looks like it's starting to return to that. Looks like it's now starting to return to that flat spin, of which... Is it? It is. Alright, so it's returning to that flat spin. I'll let that test. Now, you guys already know that with the Centrum, you have the standard loop and loop high, which the high part of this actually involves it going faster than the normal fast, and then the ride itself actually tilts, which makes this if you guys seen the in RCT3 the Enterprise, it works the same way, except I don't think this one runs the same degree of tilt as the Enterprise itself. So, that said and out of the way, we can change the sequence of this Centrum a little bit and run the following. Now this one is actually from the, if any of you know Infinity Guide, if any of you know the Infinity Guide, if any of you were familiar with that guide, this is from there, and not from the Google Sheet doc. The Google Sheet doc does mention this is the ideal sequence for the, from the Infinity Guide, but this involves a single slow loop, and then it goes to 2 fast loops, and then it runs into 4 high loops. So this is 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th high loop. And then when it comes back down to standard, we switch to a fast reverse loop for 4 cycles, before slowing down on the 5th reverse loop to close out this whole thing. Now, when it switches to reverse loop, I'll go ahead and stop this. Oh, it looks like before we start this test, however, it looks like the test for the chairplane's done, which produces some more favorable results and a little better prestige, which is good. I'll go ahead and open this up. October year 14. No refurbishment needed. As far as the Centrum is concerned, I'll go ahead and test this one with the current setting and run Coaster Cam the whole way. Now, unusually, unlike these next few, I need to run to the restroom real quick, so I'll let you guys watch this, and or probably in multiple speeds, probably 2 times or 4 times. I'll let Editing Jalen decide that, and I'll catch you guys on when I come back. Now, how was that for you guys? Now, a little fun fact while I was doing some off-camera testing with the Centrum was when I tested a sequence between loop high and reverse loop high, what happened was the device itself descended before switching directions and then reascended. That cost prestige, and seemingly is unfavorable for this particular ride. So when I go back to overview here, we get a much favorable prestige. This ride opened in year 14, so this should be favorable enough as well. And I believe with that, that settles that. That settles that portion. So, while I would love to go through the jungle area just momentarily, you can definitely see on this little strip here that the only ride that's on the strip is Temple Adventure over here, which is of course creating the prestige on the chairplane. Unfortunately, this means that there are no flat rides on the strip, and this strip will be ignored for the purposes of this. There's also a strip here for the hotel, which also doesn't have any flat rides, so that can be ignored. I move on to the rest of this loop and continue with 3 more rides. The Venetian Carousel over here, which I aptly named Carousel. We also have a Free Flyer over here, and we also have a Helion Ring here. Now, the Venetian Carousel is old, so I will have to refurbish this. The Free Flyer and the Helion Ring are close to refurbishing, but not quite there yet. So I will go ahead and run these first. Actually, I'll run the Venetian Carousel test first, and I believe this one just has 2 functions, spin and spin fast. But the ideal sequence here looks like 8 fast spins straight up, no slowing down. So this is 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now let's run the test and see how that fares. And I don't really have to worry too much about it. You can see that some of the riders are in the horses as usual, which go the standard up and down on your normal carousel. Whereas some riders are also in different types of which are also actually in different types of seats, which actually run differently. The Venetian Carousel model here, I believe, just has the plane, which goes up and down that way. And since this is going to repeat, I'm going to go ahead and get out of Coaster Cam and actually show you what the riders are actually in. Some just are stationary. And some are spin by themselves. So yeah, you can see spinning, airplane, and then when you get to here, you also have a second floor as well, looks like. So yeah, some riders are on the second floor up here. And yeah, some are down here too. Yeah, if it were me and riding the carousel, I wasn't one of those types that enjoyed the up and down now as compared to when I was a kid, and would probably be on the type where you're stationary here. It's just your standard. It's just basic. But yeah, now that that's being tested, I'll go ahead and do the sequencing for the free flyer. The low prestige here is caused by spin, spin fast, spin high, and a spin. What's the high, you may ask? Well, that looks like, well, that to me seems like the ride tilting up and then coming back down. I think that's what it is for this particular ride. For some of you that may have seen it, you may also want to verify with me, but I think, let me see, spin fast spin, spin fast spin. Okay, so this creates 4 cycles of the same thing. 1 spin fast and 1 spin. So that would be 2, this would be 3, and then this would be 4. I have not been able to test whether spin high and spin high fast affect this portion at all, and I probably won't be able to run a good ride camera because it's not going up and down as you would expect. Oh wait, I forgot to hit test. I'm sorry. This is one of the first mishaps that Jalen may have to do today. So yeah, you can see just a standard fast spin here. And then later down the line it starts to slow down and then speed up again. Yeah, right now it's speed. And then later it slows, like that. Then it picks up again. And that's going to repeat 4 cycles. I do not know how the high is going to be affected here. You guys tell me in the comments if any high spins affect the ratings and prestige for this ride from the cycle that I gave you here. As far as the Helion ring is concerned, this has a low prestige with just a stall swing, a swing, a forward loop, and a backward loop. The guide here presents just a loop, a series of loops. It gives me 4 backward loops, that 1, 2, 3, 4, another 4 forward loops, which are right there, and then another sequence of 3 backward loops to close that. Now the definition of forward and backward, I believe, is set by the first seat on this particular ride, and I'll show you how the switch works in the ride cam test. So obviously it has to start with a swing. You can see it obviously has to start with a swing. For any of you RCT3 folks that have seen the a similar style of ride, I believe, I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's not the loop-the-loop. It's called something else. But it does have a similar style to the Helion ring here. Remind me what it's called in the comments below as well on that one. So many things I'm gonna ask you guys about comments. So you're gonna. So if it helps for those of you wondering about the comments about what I'm saying in the comments, if it helps, timestamp what I've asked you, and give me the answer, because then I'll know. Oh, that's the answer to this question. If it helps you. So yeah, this is what looks to be the backward loop. For some, it looks like a forward loop, and now it turns to forward loop. What I find fascinating about the switch to forward loop is that it suddenly stops and then starts back up again, which is kind of an awkward feel when I did the reverse direction of this in an off-camera test of this. So it looks like the guide that I found on Google Sheets played the favor here on the Helion ring. So while that's running, some tests may have finished. Particularly on the carousel here, where the prestige on this one raised to a bit, which is a favorable one. I'll open this one, but also hit refurbish on this because it's so old. The test on the free flyer is also complete with a favorable prestige. Again, I do not know if high spins affect prestige and ratings here. You guys tell me how that works. Nothing required here. Open as is. We are good. And you can definitely see that the backward... Is that still a forward loop or a backward loop? I think that's still the forward loop. I don't remember. Is that then going to switch direction? Yep, that's going to switch direction, and that is the 3 backward loop sequences that you're about to see. I think that's 2 spins each, if I'm not mistaken. Otherwise, that's just 3 spins. So that's the 3 spins. Now to see if each of the cycles contains a double. Yeah, that looks like a double. Yeah, so each cycle looks like it contains 2 spins on the Helion ring. Oh, but then, yeah. I guess the extra spin comes from the transition between loops, I bet. You guys tell me. So then it swings to close out the ride as a whole. There! Perfectly said and done. And then let's see what the test is on this one before continuing on with the rest of the park. Now while that's going, I'll go ahead and fix this guide here. So that's favorable. That is absolutely favorable. It does create a lot of fear and a lot of nausea because we're running some loops. And that is the favorable prestige that I want. So there you go. Open as is. Perfect. I still gotta work on Q prestige for all of these rides, I'll tell you that much. So that's that. Free Flyer's done. Helion Ring's done. Venetian Carousel's done. I gotta be careful that that's Venetian Carousel, the smaller version, and the Grand Carousel's the bigger one in the back of the park. But that is that section done. Now we move on past the Cascade, past everything here. This is a Screaminator, which I believe is already good enough. I may have done some early ones. The Bump and Derby over here has done its favorable setup, and I do believe it's just 2 bumper rounds. Yes, 2 bumper rounds, and that's the best I can do with it. Then we have 2 more rides over here we have to worry about, one of which is a forge, and the other is a hammer swing. I can get both of those easy. Forge looks to be high technically in prestige, because it already has this much in sequences. That is not the favorable prestige. That is not the favorable sequence. The favorable sequence actually goes like this: inverted drop, staged fall, spin dive, spin dive, staged fall, spin dive, spin dive, staged fall. Be prepared, there's going to be another one of these. Spin dive, spin dive, staged fall, and finally, inverted drop. Oh wait, no, not inverted drop. Another spin dive to close it. Never mind. So that's the sequence. Inverted drop, staged fall, spin dive, staged fall, spin dive, staged fall, spin dive, staged fall, spin dive. A total of what looks to be 12 sequences. A total of 12 sequence positions. So I'll go ahead and run the coaster cam on the inverted drop and 1 staged fall spin dive sequence before running the next one. So let's go ahead and ride cam this one. Why am I having the earphones like that? I don't know. So let's see how this starts first before looking to see what the inverted drop looks like. Okay, so inverted like that, it looks like. And then it falls. But then we look for a staged fall. I think it raises again before doing that. Yep, it raises before doing it, and then it staged falls. That looks like a fake. Wait. Staged fall, is that... Remind me, theater people, is that like one of those bungee things? Those things that people have on the back of them to hold them up above the ceiling as if they were floating above the ground. Is that what it is? So then oh, that looks like a spin dive move. That definitely looks like the spin dive move right there. But then there should be a second one before another staged fall. Let me see that one first before doing anything. Yep, spin dive again. Yep, that's one of them. Alright, so that's set done. I'll do another set of staged falls and spin dives before before getting the test results. Now with the hammer swing over here, low prestige reduced by 4 high swings. The ideal hammer swing motion should actually be 2 high swings followed by 5 low swings. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's go ahead and test that one out, see what that does. You'll see the high swings before the low swings. But I think it has to swing prepare first before doing anything. But I wonder what high swing does. Does that produce a near inversion and near loop motion? Because I don't know how that works. Or does that produce like a 90-degree swing? Because the swing motion looks like a if you look at swing motion, that kind of feels like a pendulum almost. It's near inverted? Is that near inverted or just 90 degree? I think that's 90 degree. That's the high. But then we have a couple of low swings to finish off. We have a bunch of low swings to finish off. When do those happen? That's my question. Okay, that looks like the high swings. And then if we go all the way like this... Oh yeah, then starts the low swings, okay. Yeah, that's what starts the low swings. I see what's going on here. I don't remember. Is the smoke even necessary on the hammer swing, or is that's a finished test? Okay, so oh my god, that is huge on prestige, and that's going to bring popularity to our Zephyrus over here as well because it's near that. So let's open this up. No refurbishment required here. Now before this whole thing's done, I'm gonna go and do one last refurbishment of all the rides. With colors and everything. Scenery and everything. Finish that before doing all of that. Now, while this hammer swing is going with the final set of tests, I just noticed some terrain over here that needs fixing and flattening out. And this is actually left over from building the Zenith over here. So if I just started... Oh god. So if I just started flattening out all of this, then that is actually what we get. Oh god. I didn't want that. I wanted this. Funny enough, when you actually do some terraforming outside, it doesn't actually flatten the terrain, it just paints it. Funny stuff. I don't know why Frontier decided to keep that functionality of changing the terrain overall as you go. This is not supposed to happen, by the way, but given that they've moved on to Planet Zoo, we can't really do much about it other than just showing it off and just seeing that it's never going to happen. I think it's done. It's done. It's already done. Small improvement, but not favorable. I doubt there'll be anything, although the forge over here is going to create a lot. I was told also that the Zozo is going to create a lot of prestige. A huge amount of prestige, mind you. So we'll get to that when we can. Now, it looks like the loop over here is done. So I'm going to go over here where we have a set of three flat rides. I nearly tongue twisted that one. We have a hyper jump. We have a Ascendance, and we have a Swift Drifters. I'm going to start with the two side ones here. Ascendance is favorable, but has a free fall, a shot, a bounce, a low pause, a bungee, and a free fall. The favorable one here looks to be a bungee, free fall, bounce, free fall, low pause, free fall again, and then the low pause cycle, and then this low pause free fall cycle actually runs 4 times. which would be... This one would be 1. This would be 2. This would be 1, this would be 2, this would be 3. This would be the 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Bungee, free fall, bounce, free fall, low pause, free fall, low pause, free fall, low pause, free fall, low pause, free fall. And then, I hate to be a bearer of puns here, but the final one is a low pause before it closes out. So I wonder what the low pause does before a free fall moment. So yeah, with that set in stone, test this, and I'll see the bungee, free fall, bounce, free fall, and then see the low pause free fall before moving on to the hyper jump. So let's see what the bungee does. Okay, so it looks like the bungee is... You know how the free fall ride on RZT3 has its form of bungee with just the 1 and the 2, and on RZT3 and RZT1 and Open RZT2, I'm talking RZT Classic here, it does the same thing with just the 2. This is kind of the similar function here in the Ascendance with the bungee. And then eventually it free falls before doing a bounce. And then this would be the bounce. Oh no, is this the free fall actually? Yeah, that looks like a free fall. And then we have a bounce. Oh, that's the bounce. It stays in the center before free falling again. And then it does a free fall. This is the free fall again. And I want to see that low pause. Whether it's here or it does something else. That looks like... Oh yeah, so that was a low pause already. Alright, so I'll let that test. The next one is a hyper jump, which has sort of similar, what looks to be similar sequence, pieces. This one has a bungee, a low pause, a hop, a shot, and a free fall right now. But the ideal one, it looks like, is a bungee, a series of 4 of this. Bounce, and free fall. 2, 3, 4, and then concluding with a low pause. I am probably not going to do much with ride cam testing for the hyper jump, because the way it works, you can probably see it here. It's probably similar to the Ascendance, and I'll although a smaller tower compared to the Ascendance, you can see with the height it gives here. So if we did this, it starts bungee. It starts its bungee mechanism. And then it does all of that. Alright, so it looks like the Ascendance is done. We'll see what the test of that is. That is... very favorable. Very favorable. And wow, lot of prestige there. Late open, so no refurbishment needed. Now, how about Swift Drifters? This one is low prestige, and part of it is from a spin fast, and a spin, although the ideal guide here says... Hold on, why is the odd spin in this one? Can I just quickly... I'm probably not going to ask about it, but why is the odd spin in this one? And I'll show you what we mean when we get to it. But it looks like a sequence of 8 fast spins. 1, 2, 3, 4, except the 5th one is a normal spin. I do not know why. 6, 7, and 8. Now, if you've seen this type of ride in action, I'll go ahead and test this one. All it is everything is a everything is forward momentum. Everything runs forward. And you can definitely see it in action. Is the way this operates is the ride tends to operate on the wheel itself, and you can definitely tell from seeing this with the other rides, but when you whoosh, and that's why it's called Swift Drifters, it's because the swinging motion and the swoosh, that is what makes it drift. Hence the name Swift Drifters. I don't know where the awkward slow spin comes from, but we'll see when we get there. And I think this is still testing. The hyper jump's still testing. So you guys tell me in the comments, if you looked at this guide yourself, why is that awkward slow spin in that sequence, the ideal sequence? Why is it in there? Please let me know. Apart from just seeing spin fast and that's it. Oh, and the low pause on the hyper jump signifies a conclusion of the test. So let's see what that test result gives us while the Swift Drifters is still testing. If it actually can... There we go. And while that gives us favorable results, it gives us a better prestige. See what sequencing does with prestige? I can actually see the slow spin in action here, and then it will pick up as it goes. Yeah. But yeah, I'm still confused as to how the awkward slow spin is given there. Hold on, many guests need the toilet, but can I just really quickly check on all the toilets in here? The standard restroom block 96 over here. Nothing stinky. Huh. That's something I'll have to look into, because it says many guests need the toilet. Are the toilets spread out? Are the bathrooms spread out like that, really? By the way, for those of you wondering, why haven't you set prices on your tickets in terms of both your park and your rides? I'm like, this is a sandbox. If I were working with financial limits here, like in the career mode or the challenge mode, possibly, then it would be advisable. But here, it's not really that advisable anyways. Like, when I'm working with the workshop stuff that I've downloaded randomly, I'm trying to test the profits on $10. I've been told that it's not ideal to keep rides based on profits, but I have too many as it is, and I may as well just keep the ones that guests will pay for. pay good money for anyways, versus the operations of the ride itself. Whether the operations are killing the profits for the ride, or if the riders are giving enough to satisfy those operating costs. That's the question that I'm aiming for when I do all this stuff. And it doesn't affect, for example, the Success Coaster over here or the Cascade over here, the stuff I've already built in the park. It's just that. But yeah, it looks like the Swift Drifters is done. And I do believe that one person voted on it because it's part of their name. I've seen a couple of people in the furry fandom under the name Swift before, so it makes sense. But yeah, it's favorable prestige. I think the prestige of these two rides is also creating prestige here. Then again, rides around it can also create prestige for another ride. So I'll go ahead and open this as is, and it opened late, so nothing needed there. Now, I could skip the jungle area and go back here to the Zozo, but that's not what I want to do. What I want to do instead is go into the jungle where it's most scenic and start sequencing in here. The sun flare over here, actually, has a little different story. Right now we have spin highs, which I'm going to go ahead and... Right now we just have spin highs. That's the only sequence we have, which if I go in and pop a test on it right now, as is, you can definitely see it just... I think it just raises? Oh god. Oh god. Why does sometimes the dummies pop in late and then the cam just... Wow. How high up are we, if I may ask? Okay, so we're that high up? Wait a minute, are we that high up? Now we're high up. So this is what spin high's like. That's what spin high's like. So with that set in stone, I'll go ahead and add 2 more spin highs to this sequence animation. That's the ideal one in the guide here. And pop a test here. Now, while that's testing, I have another flat ride in this jungle area over here, the Hurricane, which, if you know the Twister ride in RCT3, this is kind of similar. Now, if I set the thing here, we have slow spin, spin, reverse slow spin, reverse spin, spin, slow spin, which creates this much prestige, not favorable. If I instead did, on this Hurricane, spin, reverse spin, cycled that 4 times, so 2, 3, 4, and then a final standard spin to close out, I'll show you how this one operates with a single test. Wait, did I open it by mistake, or no? It has to test anyways when I change something. So yeah, it is testing. I almost thought it was already open. Rip. And yes, I did test the opposite direction for this, which I've always done for stuff with forwards and backwards motions, and actually decided that this kind of spin was favorable for me. So if we go in here and then do that, it then switches direction. See how the direction is reversed? It switches direction like that, easy peasy. And I think it does one 360 motion before it switches direction again. Yes, it does. And just like that, I'll go ahead and stop that. That's just going to repeat a couple of times. And I believe the test over here is done too. Yep, test over here is done with favorable prestige, and it is still that. So, yeah, open up as is, we are good. Now that's set in stone. I'll go ahead and give you guys a rundown of the jungle over here. So I chose acacia trees because it felt right. It didn't feel like the standard alpine-esque feel you would get just from the standard fir trees around the rest of the park. No, I wanted to give the alpine setting a different vibe. Not just the vibe that you would get from being in the Alps, being a moderate alpine setting. Like, this kind of setting would be favorable if, say, we chose an environment like tropical or grassland. But that's a different story. There are some places where different types of trees are, and that's because the workshop blueprints for those actually chose those trees, like the tropical palm trees you see on Jungle Drift, or in here you have like a sort of active volcano setting for Jungle Road. Then when you go over here to Temple Adventure, you see a different type of tree style. That's kind of one of those settings. And then when you go over here, you see Clear Ice, which is actually not a jungle setting, but is visible from the jungle area, mostly because you have a treehouse here that doesn't have any trees around it. And I also added the storyline of the Chief Beef Truck, which is actually now a Sugary Emporium shop, which actually shows that, oh, this truck actually crashed into a tree, an acacia tree. And even though the tree still stood, the truck may not have sustained some damage, but they didn't have the funds to get the engine, so they decided, oh, run a candy shop to gain that funds to fix their engine. But instead, it was built around a park, and thus the family never ceased. How would I say it? The family just up and left, I guess? Okay, so test is done on here. Favorable prestige on this one. Open as is, and no need to... How do I say it? No need to refurbish that one. Now over here, on the way down to the Abyss area, we have two rides over here, a Grand Carousel and Overpower. I'll start with the Grand Carousel over here, which I believe just has a single spin function with slow and fast settings. Let me go ahead and fix this here. We're done with this. We are done with this. We're done with... Oop. We're done with this. Alright. So we move on to Grand Carousel, where even though it has a slow spin, a fast spin, and a slow spin, that is not ideal because it produces that low prestige. What we actually want instead is a series of fast spins. We have 3 for now, but the ideal one here says to make it 10 of them. So this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Like that. I'll show you the... Now, this is a different... Now, be careful, because this Grand Carousel is very different from a Venetian Carousel, because it doesn't have that second floor. What it does have is the same type of seats that you would find on the Venetian Carousel. Everything's more spread out compared to the Venetian Carousel. So yeah, you still have your fair share of carousel, just one floor and everything spread out. I'm surprised it actually starts us off on the spinning. No, does it start us off on the spinning? It does start us off on the spinning. Let me go ahead and switch to something different. Yeah, see, this one's the... I think this one's the airplane. seats. This one's the... Oh, some of the horses don't even... Oh, some of the horses don't even go up and down. That's interesting. Yeah, so if I keep doing this, we'll soon start to see... Yeah, we're gonna enter one of those. I'm gonna go back to seat 1 then, because that's a default. Let that run while I look into this part right here, which is an overpower. It also has a very decent prestige, and that's probably raised because of the trees back here from Jungle Road. And also in part because of the lava lamps and the acacia trees on the other side. But I am going to increase it. It's a forward loop, backward dive flips, backward locked, and forward dive flips 1. Unfavorable. What is favorable is the highest possible, which actually shows backward loop, if I can actually scroll to it, forward locked instead of backward locked. Then we have backward dive flips, which actually has a single one compared to the two variants of forward dive flips, which is interesting. Then another forward locked, and then back to a series of backward loops to finish off. Now I know the Infinity Guide has something different, and probably just has backward loops and backward dive flips, but the other guide, the one that on Google Sheets, says something different. So that's that. I'll go ahead and test this one and show you guys. I'll let the series of 2 backward loops run, or rather, I'll ride cam the 2 backward loops. And once the backward flips is done... Oh, look at that! There's an EDM ride theme. I mean, I would have done an EDM ride theme, but that doesn't seem sci-fi compared to the rest of the park anyways, so I would have done that. But anyway. It looks like the backward loop here just operates swinging motion. So this is the backward loop sighting, and each loop actually starts from the top. It looks like, because even though this looks like forward loops, it actually is labeled backward because it starts from the top. And then and then eventually it'll do that, and then we'll see a forward locked, which I believe just operates... Oh yeah, you can see the upside down motion here. And then it starts swinging to finish that one out. And then I wonder how the dive flips works. You'll start to see it as we go. Yeah, because then it starts doing that, and then eventually... Whoosh! Yeah, because see how it slows and then does all of that? Yeah, and then it starts to swing. While that's testing, the Grand Carousel still looks like it's testing, but I think... That's a finished test with very high prestige. Oh my god. I'll go ahead and open this one up as is. Thank you very much. So while that overpowers testing, I do want to comment again, Amori, who did the lava lamps, super genius, is on the front page, is on the front menu of the Planet Coaster game. If you go to the... This is how I found the lava lamps, by the way. If you go into the menu, on the side, the right side, where not the options on the left side, where you get to operate your park, but the right side with all your creators, where you see your friends and everything like that, and yourself inside the globe. If you go to the crown icon, that's where you find the featured creators. And I believe Amori is one of the first creators on that list, based on an alphabetical sort. And yes, her lava lamps are in there as one of the trending uploads, which is how I found the lava lamps. So great function there. And it looks like our friend the Overpower is finished. So yeah, if you guys really want to get some ideas on what you want to do, and even the trailer for Planet Coaster even does this as well, go into the featured creator section, look up a random creator, go to their trending uploads. Also, don't look up Flabaliki. He deleted all of his. But yeah, go to any one of the other creators on there, and even those that may have died. Rest in peace, DJ Technoid. And yeah, interesting content there. Definitely would work for your stuff if you think it would work. There are some that also have trending uploads under the Theme Maker's Toolkit label, and I believe one creator has that with wolf howling, etc. Yeah, those. So yeah, Overpower's done with incredible prestige, perfect, and I'll go ahead and open this one up too. So that's that. Now, this is what this is the part that makes me worried about this entire back end of the park, because not many people are actually going here. We're making progress to actually getting people over here. And even though I did set a limit on how many guests are over here, mind you, this is that simulates how a pandemic works, mind you, 4,500 guest limit. We are getting guests over here, which is good. But that's not what we're here for. What we are here for is setting sequencing. And I'll show you first off the Sky Temple over here, which I do believe I already set. The spin high motion is already that setting, and it's the ideal one, which creates still very low, still medium level prestige. I'm surprised not many people are going here anyways. 0 monthly guests, mind you. I mean, some guests are coming over here. Now, the Vice Horn, I'm not going to go ahead. I mean, I would operate a ride cam here, but if you look at ride cam here, you can see the roof is covered and the colors are different. I mean, I could operate some colors here. But the operation of the Vice Horn is basically similar to the Monteleone, except the roof adds a little bit of detail. The ideal one is basically the same thing as you would see with the Monteleone, just 8 operations of alternating between spin and spin with canopy. So that's the first one that I set. Here's 2, here's 3, 4, 5. Now if I add animations, I'll see 6, 7, and 8. Now I'll set that to testing. And let me go ahead and do some naming, because over here I believe this Gunslinger ride was never named. This Gunslinger ride was never named. It's just called Quick Draw 2. I'll go ahead and name it now Gunslinger. That's that one. Now I'm going to do some naming as well around the stations here. The hotel shuttle here will require some station naming. Station 32 is over here. So, Midway to Hotel. That's that station name. The station name for Station 33 will be Hotel Station. Then if I go to Station 34, that station's called Midway from Hotel. And then finally, Station 36 will have... I'll just say... Start. For now. Because that's the start of the ride, essentially. That's where the initial start was. And that's not the first station, by the way. That first station was originally here, but then we moved it in a previous episode. Now, if we go back to our original ride, the Vice Horn, I do believe it's still testing. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up before we finish this off, and you can definitely see from the speed up that it actually is still alternating between covered and uncovered because of that canopy. Wait a minute. Was that still? That looked like it was slowing down, unless that's part of the... That's part of my frame rate issues, definitely. But yeah, it is operating normally. It definitely is operating normally, it's just... Yeah, this thing's spinning fast, which is giving us that hint. But I don't see a sign of slowing down anytime soon, because it's already in the late cycles, it looks like. And it's starting to slow down. Okay, so I'll go ahead and slow down the speed a little bit just to get that test running. Now that is some easy tests, and it produces the similar prestige, so I'll go ahead and open this up as is. We're probably not going to get many guests over here because the prestige is not above 1,000 for some of these rides. Like over here with the Grand Carousel, the prestige is already above 1,000, which is indicating the high amount of guests coming over here. I'm still very surprised in regards to... Oh no, the prestige on the queue is 100% anyway, so we're good. Now if we go into this little cycle here, we have a series of 4 rides. I'll go ahead and set the victory sequence here, which has 4 swings. The ideal adds a 5th. So test it, and I'm not gonna coast cam this one because this one is actually just your standard swing back and forth over and over again. Now the Skywatcher over here, I can go ahead and ride cam this one later, but the animation for this one is actually going to have to be... I'll go ahead and fix up my guide here. The Skywatcher actually has... This looks like a single spin, but I'm going to add 4 more animations and switch direction each time. So we're going to get spin, reverse, and spin to close. I've tested the same thing with the reverse of this, and it produced the same results, but I did like the standard spin nonetheless. Test this. I'll see how the ride operates in ride cam later. Hyperspin, it's just anti-clockwise and clockwise. I'm very surprised that it just does that. The ideal one from the Infinity Guide, as acknowledged by the Google Sheets, just has clockwise 7 times. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And if I test this and operate ride cam, you can see that is how the ride operates. Then if you see the riders, the spin is actually based off of the gravitational force that is operated by the discs underneath. So sometimes you spin that way, other times you spin the other way, and sometimes you get a full spin. Like that, nearly. So yeah, that's the momentum you get there. Is our Skywatcher? Skywatcher's not up there. So yeah, let me just go ahead and get the teacups moving again. Now, I tested this one as well with the opposite direction, and surprisingly, it paused and resumed, giving the prestige 0. Which kind of produced a bug. Planet Coast Frontier may want to come back and fix this. But the ideal one here looks to be just 6... Is that 7 clockwise motions? Oh, no, the hyperspin... I'm sorry. I reversed this. I'm sorry. The hyperspin actually has 5 anti-clockwise motions, not 7 clockwise. 5 anti-clockwise motions. The test on this one... It's going to be the same, except it's this reverse direction from what you originally have. You have it forward that way from this perspective, and then it just spins, and then it starts spinning that direction anyways. So yeah, you get that spin. So that's that. This teacups is actually what I'm looking for in terms of the clockwise direction. So if I did this with the anti-clockwise direction, or counterclockwise, it would be unfavorable because of the pausing. So yeah, test this, ride cam this. You may have ridden something like Mad Teacups at Disney World. But yeah, if you can definitely get this, it just spins. And I'm pretty sure that the guests can spin it themselves too. I'm not entirely sure, but I know some teacup rides, the guests are able to spin the teacups themselves, which can either create a sick feeling or a easy feeling, depending on what you got. But it looks like our friend the Skywatcher is already up in the sky, and it looks like it's starting to get to a switch in direction. So I'll let that slow down, and I'm gonna speed up while I go ahead and take care of some stuff. I'll catch you guys later. Here, I'm gonna speed this up. The ride cam's still gonna maintain the same result anyways, because it is, yep, and then it's gonna reverse direction again. Yeah, you can see how the reverse direction operates. It's basically similar to that. Yeah, that's basically that. So yeah, that's the Skywatcher for you. Now that the victory's done with testing, I'll go ahead and see what the result for that is. Still very low. It's probably not the best when it comes to prestige, but the only way we can probably increase the prestige is add scenery around it. And I'll leave that to you guys when we start doing the naming after you guys. Anyway, with the victory done, that is not old. This probably is, with still very low prestige, a work in progress, obviously. 100% Q rating because of the popcorn trees. Rest in peace, DJ Technoid. This one is still testing. The Skywatcher is still in test phase. I'll go ahead and speed up again and let the teacups run its thing. The teacups are going to finish with a rating like that and somewhat high prestige. That's going to operate well with an open there. And then I believe, if I recall correctly, I did test the Skywatcher once, and when I did the test for this, I noticed that the Skywatcher actually presented a very favorable prestige. We'll see if that prestige shows here, but because of the age, that prestige is going to be, I think, lower or higher. I'm not entirely sure which, but yeah, the prestige is going to be around that mark anyways. So yeah. Is it going to come down yet? I think it's still in that phase of just making that spin before it comes back down. Yeah, it's still in that phase, and eventually it's probably going to go back to another reverse, or... Nope, it's already in that last phase anyways. So yeah, it's going to make its descent, and we'll start to see it within the next few seconds, probably, and I'll talk about... Guys, how do you like this marketplace here? I'm surprised. What is going on here? Oh no, wait, that's just the foliage. Anyway, with that out of the way, that is going to be that Skywatcher done with results. Now, why low excitement? I don't understand. But it is high prestige anyways, so there you go. I'm still surprised about the 0 excitement rating on this in particular. I'm questioning that. Please let me know in the comments on why that is. But with that section out of the way, we have one more over here before we continue on with our Zozo friend. Wait a minute. We had an Iron Claw somewhere, didn't we? Unless that was over here. We had an Iron Claw somewhere. Where's that? Yeah, I forgot to close the kickflip over here. I'll go ahead and do that now while I still can. And then with the Iron Claw that I missed. I definitely missed something, that's for sure. So let me go back to the Iron Claw. And I can definitely do this all in alphabetical order now that we've handled the clockwise motion. So Iron Cloth goes first, and this is definitely something that I completely missed when I was doing this. I only did Venetian Carousel, Free Flyer, and Helion Ring. I completely missed the Iron Claw, which is completely over here. And that's what you guys voted on in one of the replacements for that second Vice Horn that I accidentally had. But anyway, the sequence here just has swing, swing and spin, and then swing and reverse spin. But the ideal one here looks like 2 cycles of swing and spin, and then swing and reverse spin. So here's the second. And then the last of the six animation sequence is swing and spin, and then your standard issue swing. So let's test, and again, I'll show you how this works. This is very different compared to the sundial, which also has the spinning rotation of its ride. So if we just operated normally, you can see the spin actually acting early, and you can definitely see it starts to swing, and then I'm going to speed up a little bit just to see, because I have the low frame rate, because I really cannot work with how long I've had to... Yeah, you can definitely see, wow, see that? And then eventually it starts to... yeah, and then eventually it starts to slow down in one direction and then switch directions. I mean the spinning direction, not the... Oh, you can definitely see that it's going to start switching the spinning directions now, because then it starts like that, and then whoa! Now we're going somewhere. Now we're going somewhere. All right, let that run for a bit while I operate some other things, and then let's run the cycle. Kickflip first. Let's do the kickflip first. And no pun intended on do the kickflip, because it's aptly named that. Note the old style of Ferris wheel. We are actually going to, instead of doing forward spin and backward spin, we're going to do some switches. We're going to start by running a backward switch and then a forward switch. And then the cycle operates a second cycle of this animation sequence before finishing with a single backward switch. That's that test. I'll run the test now. Run that. And you can definitely hear the tropical vibes with this one, because groovy! Radical! That sort of thing. And then if we keep doing that, you'll definitely start to see, oh, it runs on its side, and then this is where the switch happens! And then it stops before making the forward momentum again. And there's a reason behind that. You can definitely tell there's a reason behind stopping and then continuing in that direction. Now see where it stops this time. There. And then it's going to operate backwards. Like that. No, that's that part. So that's the kickflip. That's that operation. Now I'm going to go on to the Zozo. I've been told that the prestige on here is incredible. The prestige on this one is absolutely incredible. And on top of that, it's not only going to bring in the stuff, but it's also going to bring in the riders to the Zenith over here, the Thrill Seekers. But whether it's going to attract people to that side of the park, I have absolutely no idea. Right now it's working on a horizontal spin, a forward spin, and a reverse horizontal spin. This ideal guide is actually telling me to operate this with forward spin first, and then horizontal spin. That cycle operates 5 more times. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Note that I said 5 more times before doing 1 more forward spin. And now I run the test. You'll see how the Zozo operates. That does not look forward to me. But how does it really look forward? So if I switched cabins... Oh no, wait, the forward actually operates from the top. I'm sorry. Or does it operate from the bottom? Oh, there's definitely a switch to horizontal somewhere. There is definitely a switch to horizontal somewhere, but it still operates the back and forth switch between that. And then eventually it's going to switch back to the vertical spin. Because I want to see this operate from bottom forward rather than top forward. Because I know how that operates. Yeah, it can definitely... Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Oh, no, now I see why it calls it forward. Okay, look at this. That's that. Okay, so then it does a spin a couple more times. While that's operating, though, I'd like to see how the rest work. Okay, so it looks like Iron Claw and Kickflip's tests are done. Iron Claw has that much with that much prestige. Okay, we'll work on that. Open as is. Kickflip operates with this with that much prestige, so we're definitely going to get customers to the Underrang for sure, or that side of the park for sure. And finally, we have the Zozo, which is still operating test. Mind you, remember when I built this, I said, oh, I got this off of a suggestion I built this off of a suggestion by someone in the Channel 5 Gaming Planko Discord community, which includes a series of builders, and some of those builders in that Discord are also some of the featured creators in the menu on Planet Coaster. So people like Zayfor, like who else is also in that group? Galician BTH. I almost said Galician. Galician BTH. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. You also have other people in there as well. Many other builders. I'm going to try to remember some names that I know from the featured list. So let me go into that Planko Discord now and try to see who else is in there from that list. We're also looking at people like... I think Wix is in here too. But yeah, since it's late, probably late in the UK, many of those creators are probably not active right now. But yeah, Zayfor, Wix, maybe Enigmandra, many other people I have mentioned before are in there. Now with the Zozo done, that is... Oh my god! Editing Jalen, if you could just quickly zoom in on that number real quick so you can get an emphasis on what that's actually like. Holy god, I did not expect that level of prestige. This is going to be a massive one, I'll tell you that much, a massive one. And mind you, I might consider a second Zozo as well. I didn't think this was going to be that incredible after all. Holy... Mind blown. Just mind blown on that one. And I've seen coasters that went up to 1400 prestige and that's it. That level? Wow. Thank you, Planko Discord, on that one. Oh my god. You helped me there. You definitely helped me there, and wow. Okay. I'm gonna have to end now to let this sink in, but that's the sequencing done. That is going to do it for today's episode of Planet Coaster, and I've recorded for 2 hours again. Why do I keep doing this to myself? I'm gonna have to run shorter episodes for the station builds here. But yeah, with that, next time we see each other, we're gonna have to work on some scenery with a lot of these rides, and I'm gonna have to order them by lowest prestige to highest prestige. Holy God, we've got some work to do. But nonetheless, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, leave a like, post your comments, hit subscribe with that notification bell, share this video with your friends, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until next time, guys.